Matthew Moore's Wood Studio. I'm here in front of my dedicated sharpening station, which I have just been using a ton here in the shop since I built it. Now, normally when I'm in front of this, I would use this Veritas Mark II jig to help me do my sharpening. I also happen to have an attachment for it as well, and this is the chamfer roller, or camber. Sorry, this is the camber roller, and I would use this to help me put a little camber on my plane blades. And it's very easily swaps out. The screw, you undo the screw, put this guy in instead, and screw it back in, and you're off and running. But when you use chisels on this thing, sometimes it's really hard to, number one, get them straight, and number two, to get equal amounts of pressure pushing down on both sides, especially on something really thin like this 1/8 inch chisel here. So Lee Valley and Veritas came up with a new Mark II narrow blade honing guide. Here it is. And I recently got this in actually about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and so we're going to do a little review and unboxing of it. I haven't opened it up yet. I've been saving it, and I've been saving it because as soon as I got to the sharpening station, which I'm about to do on the Gamble House rocking chair project, I'm about to sharpen my spoke shave blades. And before I do that, I wanted to review this product. So let's open it up. So just like the other one, of course it's got a manual, and it's got this guide just like the other one for setting your bevel locations. Take a look at it, see if it's any different. Nope, it looks exactly the same. Here's the old one, and here's the new one, and they look exactly the same. And here is the jig itself. Now this guy is different than the other one with a couple of different parts to it. So I'm going to bring them up to the camera and let's take a look at it. Okay, so here is the old one, which has been around for a very long time, and it gets a ton of use in my shop. And it has two knobs up here. Now those two knobs are for tightening the right and left side. And as you tighten these, that hold the plane blade or your chisel. This one's different because instead of pushing down on both sides, you take the jaws here and you can expand and contract the jaws to match the size of your chisel by turning this screw. So you turn the brass knob on the screw and it just keeps getting smaller or wider. This guy, unlike this one, has only two settings for the bevels, the number 2 and the number 3, and this one has all three of them, 1, 2, and 3. They both have the same flat roller on the bottom here that you just roll on, and the adjustment switch here to change the add a micro bevel. Now I could have just bought the top part here, and it's about half the price of buying the entire piece. And I wanted to buy the whole thing instead of half because I do a lot of sharpening. There will be times where I will sharpen throughout the day even, especially if I'm using a smoothing plane and I'm getting all of my pieces ready for their final surface preparation before they get glued up or any finishes put on them. So that's why I went with the full set here. Now you can, as I said, this comes separate, and you would just set this to the number 2 or 3 position on your original and just attach the top part. So let's throw a chisel in here and give it a shot. So like before, you would take the guy here, get this guy attached, set it up so it's roughly the center is going to be for your chisel around here, and we'll change that in a second. I'm on the number 2 position, and all of my chisels are at 25 degrees. I'll take my chisel, bring that in, and just turn this knob until it automatically centers the chisel. Okay, so it's centered now. I'm loosening it up so I can move it. And I need to change where this piece is. So I just glided that over, And now I can take my chisel, register it against the side here. And if it registered against the side, I'll tighten this down. And then I can project the chisel out until it meets the stop. Then I'm going to tighten this down. Take this guy out. And all I want to do today is just touch up the bevel. So I'm just going to change this adjustment here from all the way up to all the way down, which is my micro bevel adjustment. And my stone, I'm going to throw some water on it. It's an 8,000 grit stone, really doesn't need a lot to get cutting. And here we go. All right, well that worked out really well. It gave a really nice cleanup to my edge here. And the best part of this is what you saw earlier, which is you can easily center your chisel on the jig. To me, that's worth the money, because it's always been very difficult for me to get these smaller chisels centered. And the last thing you want to do is start skewing them too much by having them slightly off center, and you're trying to compensate for that as you're moving back and forth. It just, it can make it work, but it wasn't the best system. This system here for the chisels is 100% better. So I highly recommend this. I've only used it once, but I could tell that before I even purchased it, the mechanism was going to be fantastic for centering these chisels and sharpening them. So I'm going to get back to sharpening here, and I hope you guys have a great week in the shop. As always, please subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you guys think if you too have purchased one of these upgrades to the Veritas Mark II sharpening system.